Hello, I am here on my front porch and I have to do some repairs. My railing here is missing a spindle here and one over here that you can't see. So I'm going to replace one of these spindles. But before I do that, I have to make a measurement. The best tool for this particular job is a tape measure. So I'm going to measure the length of this particular spindle from the bottom here up to the top and make another one to replace it and put it here. Let's have a look. Now this tape measure, it has a little tab at one end, and that is designed there such that you can clip on to one end. So I'm going to use that tab. I'm going to clip onto the bottom of this spindle. So it's hooked up there really good. I'm going to make a measurement of this spindle. Now I have to estimate the height. Looks like 31 inches even. So all I have to do now is go to my workshop and cut one of these 31 inches long. So I am in my workshop right now. This is my table saw. I have the blade already set up. I've already cut the pieces of wood that I need as far as width and thickness goes. I made it a comparison to the original one, which by the way, the reason I have to remove it is ants. Ants got into this and completely rotted it out on the inside. So I've already made the cut such that it is the proper width and thickness. What I need to do now is make the length. Now before I do the length, I want to make sure that my blade is square to my miter. To do that, I use another instrument. This is a speed square. And I place it down here. I check it against the blade, make sure that the fence and that blade is completely 90 degrees to each other. And these are instruments which we will learn about later on in the course. So I've already made this adjustment, it's all ready to go. What I need to do now is square up this one end before I cut this two length. Well, which side do I want to keep here? Let me see how the bend on this goes. Yeah, we're going to trim off a little bit on this side. And I've made two of them. Let's see here. The idea when you're doing these cuts is, measure twice, cut once. And this is the side I want to trim. I'm going to cut both of them at the same time. Now the height of the blade needs to be just a shade over the material itself, for this block of wood that I have. I don't always have to use a measurement tape or some kind of measuring instrument. Sometimes we can just use a comparison method where I'm going to use the block itself to determine how high to make the blade. And I want the blade to be just a little bit above the actual wood itself, about 1/8 of an inch, so that's right. So I don't always have to use a measurement tape. I can use a comparison method, which is what this is. I'm comparing the height of that blade to the height or the thickness of the wood that I want to cut. Now metrology is not about how to use the equipment, it's about measurements. I'm going to go ahead and make this cut. Before I do, I've got to consider some safety. And there it is. I got that square cut. Now I just need to make that measurement from here to the other end for 31 inches and make the final cut. I have cut this one side, so you now know that this is square. I'm going to now cut to the final length of 31 inches. And we're back to using a measuring tape, sometimes called tape measure, measuring tape measure, same thing. And this particular measuring tape, all measuring tapes actually, they have a little tab at one end that this is explained to you in the labs. So I'm going to use this little tab here to connect up to the square end on one piece. I'm going to stretch it out, get a pencil, and mark off 31 inches. And I'll do the same with the other piece. I have it here at one end and 31 inches. I'm going to cut these two boards at the same time. I have 31 inches marked on both boards. I'm going to use my speed square and simply scribe a line right across it. Flip this over. Again, this is not a course on how to use the equipment, but how to make the measurements. I'm lining up my line here such that when I find the final cut, it will be 31 inches. And of course, we got to consider safety. And here we have it, 2 spindles. I just have to do some finishing work on it before I install them. All by using, well, a tape measure. And there they are. 1, 2.